What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Okay, the moon landing, which is obviously fake.
No, it's not obviously fake.
No, that's actually not what I said. The moon landing is definitely fake, by the way.
The moon landing's not.
The shadows are off.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. I've looked at photos on the internet and it proves it.
Nick,
the shadows are off. The shadows are off.
Shadows
The shadows
are
off.
Using his vast knowledge of history and politics, we start our day off right with motivational speaker Richard Battle.
He's one of our favorites, Richard Battle, on the program. It's funny. If folks want to join us, they can. Go to the Al Travis Show Facebook page. At the top is a Zoom link. You can join us at any time. I think I'm going to suggest people do this because Battle, it's fun to see you on a Wednesday. I really appreciate you. But once you heard the Cool Hand Luke little opener there, you just start laughing. Is that not one of the greatest films of all time? I mean, in reality, isn't it?
Well, good morning, Al. Thank you so much for having us bat lead off. And yes, and that can apply. I can also see God saying that to us as well.
Yeah.
But it's such a classic line that people, if they've not seen that movie, they've got to.
Yeah. And I find, and I was a terrible dad growing up. So my kids hitting into their 30s or getting real close to hitting their 30s. And we were last time we got there, Christmas, whatever it was, we got talking about the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah.
And I realized I messed up. I didn't have my boys watch Cool Hand Luke. It just didn't come up. It's like, they're going to be deficient. And so I started making a list of movies they have to watch. Caddyshack, Cool Hand Luke, and some of these. I started making a list because literally, culturally, I don't think I'd be the same guy if I didn't see Cool Hand Luke. Nobody can eat no 50
exactly,
eggs. Nobody.
You wouldn't know that if you messed up, you'd spend a night in the box.
That's exactly right. So anyway, when I saw your face, I'm like, oh, Richard gets it. I know he does. So sorry, not the way we're going to start today, but I just, you sparked it in me. I'm like, guys, you got to watch this show. You get to see people's faces and then watch Cool Hand Luke. Anyway, today's topic you brought up for us to talk about how leaders use their power. I love this idea. Can you, let's start. Well, if you're really bad at it, what do you do?
Well, and for the folks that haven't been with us for a while, so we go back and forth between talking about historical people and the example that we can learn from them, and leadership and all kinds of other topics. And when I talk about leadership, I kind of like to do a 360. One time I'll talk about it from 6 o'clock on the dial, and another time 9 o'clock. And so this one talks about how leaders use their power. And that's so important, whether you're a leader trying to learn leadership, or whether you work for leaders, or whether you're applying for a job and you want to decide if you want to work for that type of leader or not. Contrasting self-centered poor leaders or servant type leaders who are much better for us to work for, if you will, and much better for us to be if we're a leader.
Let me ask you this. There are people, I believe, naturally born good leaders. Some will never be good leaders. I mean, there's people that way. But isn't this something, because you've written books on how to do this, there are ways you can make yourself better if you're willing to look and say, oh, that kind of reminds me of me. This is one of those traits in life you can get better at, right?
Well, absolutely. And that's the whole thing. And our culture wants us to compare ourselves to other people. But the only thing that really matters is, are we better today than yesterday? Will we be better tomorrow than today? And how do we do that? And this is one of those things that we can do to help ourselves, whether our leadership or, again, if we work for a leader and want to determine how we do that.
Gotcha. So let's start on the negative side. What in your opinion makes a poor leader?
Well, first thing is they think they have unlimited power. They feel entitled to their power position. They feel indispensable to whatever organization, and they feel like their constituents serve them at their will. And so basically they use power and beat people up with it verbally, not physically necessarily.
Yeah. Understand. And so by, again, you deciding who you want to work for, if this is, listen to this and think about the people around you and all kinds of different, yours just hit me. We've got some folks at a golf course I go to. Seem unbelievable, the thought that how much power they have. And in my life, it's like, You run a golf course. In the end, there's 6,000 of them out there. We can go to another one. I just find the leadership thing is very interesting. When I had a problem at a golf course, brought it up, and leadership was like, "You don't understand, sir. This is what I do." Like, it's a golf course, buddy. I didn't ask you to go to NAM with me. Yeah, okay. So perceived unlimited power. I like that. What else?
I'll tell you another good example, and I learned it in my first job out of college, and I had a guy who was in management a couple of levels above where my spot was, and he treated me like a dog. And finally one day I got promoted, and all of a sudden he treated me like a king. And I thought that was a pretty interesting observation, and so I experienced it later in my career, but I always treated everybody the same, whether they were above me, below me. And so that's something that's you see people who hoard their power, and they want to be above people and use that power with that entitlement we talked about.
I hope folks listening are getting the same things as you're talking. Just keeps hitting me. It's if you have a boss and you ever go out with them somewhere, dinner or whatever, lunch, watch how they treat the staff. It will tell you everything you didn't need to know, and be wary of it, because if they'll do that to some poor schmo who's just trying to make a buck dropping stuff off of your table, you think what they'll do to you when you're underneath them on the ranking chart, the organizational chart. How people treat others when there's no, when they have nothing to do with them. Yeah, well, that amazing.
You're exactly right. And so if you're going on an interview and you're going for coffee or having a lunch interview or something like that, that's a great thing to observe, because you'll see how they are with those people, and you'll know that's how they'll be with you if you go to work for them. And so when we're applying for jobs, we should be interviewing not only companies, but bosses, because most people go to work for companies, but they leave companies because of the people they work for.
Oh, that is so funny. And okay, other things, like behavior things. Well, what do they do?
They take credit for everything.
Sure.
So everything's theirs from anybody who works for them. And so that makes people less interested in breaking their backs for their boss if they never get any credit and they see their boss always taking that. If you ever read the Dilbert cartoon series, that's a great example.
Love Dilbert.
In there.
See, this is an eclectic show. We talk about a man who wrote 10 books, and we're quoting Dilbert bits. I love that. This is the eclecticness of this show. The one that got me again under the behavior is back to when you get into an office situation. And I just remember a gal when I worked at a large corporation. She was my immediate boss, but we were kind of in the middle. I was the bottom, she the middle rung. We had things. But the thing she said about those people when they weren't around, oh, she's this and this, and like, I knew instantly that the second I'm not around, that's the same thing. These people weren't looking to uplift anybody. If I could tell the secret about this guy, watch those people that want to be your buddies at the office, because if they're telling you stuff they wouldn't say in front of somebody else, you're in trouble.
Well, that's a great example. And my first boss out of college was like that. And he especially was like it about people who had left the company. Everyone who had left the company was a bum. And so I learned that right away.
That is so funny.
You want people to speak well of people who have left or of other people, because on the opposite side, if they do that, they'll speak well of you, hopefully.
Yeah. Oh, that is so funny. I work for this company doing some marketing stuff, and the last guy whoever just left was the worst human ever, and the one they just hired, this guy's going to save the company. And I saw him do it in the same position like 6 times in a row. I'm like, that is the craziest thing I've ever seen. That guy's a bum. He's great coming in, bum going out, great coming in, bum going out. I said, maybe it's what's going on here in the organization. These bums are all getting there thinking, this isn't right for me, and moving on. Doesn't make them a bum. I love that.
The next thing they do is they hold power as long as possible, even unto death if they can. And we see that in Congress a lot, that people don't leave until they're carried out on a stretcher or a gurney.
Oh, that's funny.
So they don't help grow people or organizations if they want to hold on to the power they have forever.
All right. We can't just dwell on the negative. I want to know what some good leaders are. We'll do that right after this with Richard Battle on the Al Travis Show.
This year, the adventure is calling louder than ever before. Craft your own magic at the Wicked Wand Workshop. Race for glory at the Ninja Warrior Challenge. Or battle for honor at the Viking Invasion. Plus, enjoy classic favorites like live armored combat jousting or slay your hunger with tasty turkey legs. The Minnesota Renaissance Festival is back with new adventures. Get your tickets now at renaissancefest.com. Huzzah!
Think about it. A famous politician once said, "You're entitled to your opinion, but you are not entitled to your own facts." But in a world full of AI and fake news, where can Minnesotans find the facts? Center of the American Experiment is Minnesota's go-to source for fact-based analysis and common sense solutions for taxes, energy, public safety, and our kids' education. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
Are you kidding me?
You know that comment you said to the radio? The thing that we got wrong?
Clearly, Brussels sprouts are the worst vegetable.
Call us and let the world know your thoughts. 855-257-7469. That's 855-ALS-SHOW.
He writes any more books? I'm going to have to get an assistant in here just to hold up the books for folks on the radio to see them all. He wrote Made America by AmeriCANS, not AmeriCANS, and I kind of think that's what we're talking about today. The good versus the bad, good leaders, that sort of thing. We talked about some stuff that makes bad leaders. What is it that makes you a good leader? And if I want to become one, what should I be watching for? What should I do?
Well, and we're talking about leaders, not organizers. I get sick of the term organizers because they normally don't have any accountability. Leadership means you're out front and you are taking responsibility for failures. You're giving credit to other people for the successes. You're building them up. You're empowering them in the organization. And I tell people the second most important job of a leader after they accomplish their objectives is preparing future leadership for the organization. And that means empowering those people to become leaders in the organization because they care about the future of the organization beyond the length of their tenure.
You could not get yourself hooked up with somebody like that quick enough. A young lady helped me out here, big in the radio business in Minnesota, and somebody got me a whole, said, you got to meet this lady. And so I did on the phone, nothing more than that. And we spent an hour. Why this woman gave me an hour is beyond me. But then Chancey had a plan for 3-4 people I had to talk to. I'll make those contacts and and you should do these 3 things and it'll help you out. she wasn't worried that at some point I'd be the big dog, and she wasn't anymore. She literally was there to help me get the next step. And it reminded me of a guy I worked with, two. One with the cable company was a siloed. Oh, he was the boss, but he's a silo guy. Okay, I got this, boss. How do I do that? Don't worry about that. That's my job. Well, I never get to your job if you never teach me how to get there. That was one. The one that said, oh, really? You got that done already? Great. This is how you do this. All of a sudden you realize we're all going in the same direction. We want to all go up. There's a huge difference in when you work in offices, things like that. Watch who's ahead of you.
That's exactly right. The other thing is they recognize they exercise delegated, limited power.
Yeah.
Whoever put them in the position delegated to them certain amount of power, and it's limited. And if you recognize you have limited power, then again, you're part of a team, regardless at what level you're at. So doing your job as well as helping other people to do their jobs, anything to help the team succeed short and long term.
And communication's huge on that. I, again, remember there'd be some who would tell you nothing. Hey, we have to do this, Al. How come? It's new, it's different, we're just doing it. Or the other guy who said, well, from what I get, the boss is saying we're moving this direction and how we want to get there in a year. And once you have the explanation, like, okay, we're all rowing the boat in the same direction, you can get on board more. If it's just change for change's sake, which no one's doing that, businesses don't do that, it helps. It helped the whole organization. You just give me the information you have.
That's exactly true. And the way I like to summarize that is we always teach people why before how. And poor leaders only teach the how part and what. Good leaders will teach the why as well as the how to make things better.
And again, this is one of those things you can learn. If that isn't natural to you, like, I don't know, George Washington, like some people are born with it, I get it. But if it's not natural, you can look at it and say, how much can I share with the staff and what's going to help us move forward? You can consciously do these things, right?
Well, that's exactly true. And real servant leaders, they recognize they've got a privilege. It's a privilege for them to be in that position. And so they approach things with a humility versus a conceitedness, if you will. And that attitude permeates the organization as well for the people underneath them, as well as the people they deal with within the organization. So many poor leaders think they're only dealing with people outside the organization, their customer base or things of that nature. The internal people are customers as well and should be treated with respect and from a position of humility.
Most of the really great leaders that I think I've ever met seem pretty self-confident. Does that come from, I'm very self-confident so I can be that good leader? Or is it the idea, like you're saying, I realize my spot in the world. I'm not in charge of everything. I'm not the biggest thing. So you can be confident in what you know. If I know my task, is the confidence come because of it? Or were you born with it?
I think we can learn, and there's a difference between confidence and conceitedness. And that confidence comes from being confident you can do what you're supposed to, but that also comes from part of the humility as well, because you realize you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And if you're confident and if you're humble, you treat those mistakes differently than if you're conceited and self-centered, because then you're afraid that if you make a mistake, everybody's going to criticize you and punish you for it.
Absolutely. Sir, we're going to run out of time. I love the list. It's pretty much, if you will, made in America by AmeriCANS, not AmeriCANS. One of what I call the trilogy right now, and you can pick them all up. Americans Who Made America Great, 19th Century is the latest one. How does someone pick them up, Mr. Battle? With 1 minute to go.
Website richardbattle.com. All books are signed. If they would like one inscribed as a gift, which we get often, email me richard@richardbattle.com after an order is placed. We're happy to do that. They go to Amazon. All 12 books are there, including 11 of them on Kindle and 7, soon to be 8 on audio.
God, you're just doing regular radio at home, just reading all those books to yourself. I love it. Hey, thanks for being here, my friend. You know I love having you on.
Always my pleasure. God bless America.
Dust from gravel roads and driveways does more than make